was doing makeup for this and I was trying to do a natural look, but I got away from myself, so. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Victoria. I am a 22-year-old woman of transgender experience, and I make mostly LGBT content here on YouTube. If that's your thing, click that subscribe button down below so you can join the family and never miss out on a new upload. I started my transition back when I was 14, and one of the first steps to a physical transition is something called HRT, or hormone replacement therapy. In the case of transgender women, this process consists of taking blockers such as spironolactone to block your body's natural production of testosterone and replacing that hormone with estrogen in the form of pills or injectables or creams with medications like estrogen or estradiol. There are all sorts of different kinds of HRT. There are injectables. That's what I had when I first started. I moved on to pills later. There are creams. There are all sorts of different options. There are pros and cons to each different method, so I would highly recommend you discuss them with your doctor before moving ahead and making any decisions. Being on hormones for 8 years is a long time, and my body has gone through just about all the changes that it will. I've also had bottom surgery, so I no longer produce any testosterone, thank God. Like I said before, I started my hormone replacement therapy at the age of 14, so I was lucky enough to prevent myself from going through all of male puberty. So I did have some development happening, but I was able to stop it, thank God. I remember being so anxious, and literally every single day as puberty began, I woke up with this weight on my shoulder. It just was gloom and doom every day, because it felt like every day that I wasn't on hormones that I was becoming more and more of a man, which essentially I was. So if you want to hear all the ups and downs and the cumulative effects of my hormone journey from age 14 to now 22, keep on watching. So I'm going to divide this video into 3 parts. I'm going to have the mental effects, the physical effects, and then the post-op differences. I feel like hormones made a huge difference to me mentally, but if you were to look at my body from then to now, it is totally different. So I will show you my shape currently as a result of hormones in the physical section, so stay tuned for that. When I first started hormones, I was super emotional. I was crying at everything. I'm already a Pisces, so estrogen on top of a water sign, disaster. It's hard for me to say exactly how I changed mentally as a result of hormones, because I've always felt like a woman, and I also transitioned so young that testosterone definitely affected the development of my brain, but not so substantially that I was, programmed into acting like a man, because I was always defiant to all of that toxic masculinity, honey. For me, I definitely cried a lot easier. I would watch commercials. I still do. What am I talking about? I'm just a crybaby in general, so that's definitely something to keep in mind, that you might get a little more emotional. I do notice, although I certainly get road rage and stuff, I had to go off hormones for a period of time when I was getting my bottom surgery, and I noticed that I was getting like crazy road rage. I was just getting like aggressive, and I think that was the testosterone. This is completely relative. This isn't saying that you will have this result or that anyone else has this result. It's just how it's affected me. I have a very nurturing energy naturally. I want children. I love to cook and clean and bake, and I take care of my boyfriend, and I'm gonna take care of my kids one day. So I definitely have that mother hen energy. I think the best part of being on estrogen is knowing that you are no longer progressing into a man, that it's that peace of mind knowing that you are only going up from here. You're just getting more and more feminine. Of course, it doesn't get rid of dysphoria. I certainly still had and still have dysphoria about certain things. I feel immensely better as a result of my hormones and with my surgeries. I can't even compare the person I was at 14 to now. I am a completely different person. At some point, I will do a transition timeline and show you just how different I looked, but I'm just not ready for that yet. Okay, you all came here for the physical changes. This is where it gets juicy. Let's get into it. My camera just died, so if it looks weird, sorry. The first physical change that I noticed as a result of hormone replacement therapy was my skin. I started hormones with really bad acne. I also had braces and stuff, and it felt like I was Bella in Twilight after she turns into a vampire bitch. Like, my skin was smoothing out, my acne was going away, I got my braces off, my skin was smooth, honey. I was living. Your skin will definitely smooth out as a result of estrogen, but make sure you also drink water and moisturize and do all of those great things. Another huge difference that I noticed was my face. I was trying to wear less makeup today to show you guys how natural my face can be, but I got carried away. I noticed the fat distribution in my face was so different. I had cheeks all of a sudden. My lips actually got a little more plump. My face has rounded out a lot. I have never had any work done to my face whatsoever. I have only had a tracheal shave, a breast augmentation, and a vaginoplasty. Of course, the thing that I was most excited for physically was my breasts. Oh my God, it took so long. I was so skinny, you guys. I had an eating disorder when I first started hormones, so I was so thin and I was so mad because my fat wasn't redirecting the way I wanted it to. And I was all salty. I was like,
hormones just don't work for me.
And then I started to eat and I was like, oh. Everybody talks about those balls of fat that collect under your breast tissue. They're like breast buds, essentially. I had those going on for quite a while. Your breasts are going to be very tender for, I would say, the first year. I would recommend waiting about 2 years before getting any kind of body or breast shape work done because it's gonna take about that long to see the full effects. Another thing that I noticed was that my downstairs had shrunk. I have since had bottom surgery, so I don't really experience any of that anymore, but I was born a little well endowed, which is why I have a fair amount of depth. So I noticed after starting hormones that it was starting to shrink. The way that I would orgasm also would be different. It would be a little less intense for a while. I have no problem with that now, but I had a lot of issues with orgasm for, I would say, like 2 years out of my transition overall, collectively. Since getting bottom surgery, that is not the case at all. I think it was just mental because I was so dysphoric and so upset that I didn't even want to be any way associated with what I had going on down there. But yeah, it totally shrunk and I was fine with that because I didn't want anyone to see it anyway. Unfortunately, hormones do not change your voice as much as I would love that. They do not change your voice. I was born with a natural, is it like a bass, baritone, like the low, alto? I don't know. Comment down below if you know. But I was born with a pretty deep voice. I have worked on it. It's a little bit of a sensitive issue for me. I'm working on it, you guys. At this point now, I'm not really trying with my voice. This is how I talk. I've trained myself to be at this level. I'm trying a little bit, I guess, but this is just kind of how I sound. So, hormones don't change your voice at all because vocal cords stretch out to make your voice lower. So when trans men take testosterone, their vocal cords stretch. For us, you can't shorten those cords without surgery. So that does not change, your bone structure doesn't change, none of that. If you're interested in vocal lessons, there is a great YouTuber on here called ZOEY ALEXANDRIA or ZOEY ALEXANDRIA. I will link her channel down below. She is great. You can also check out the Yisan Voice Center in South Korea for a vocal surgery. It is interesting. I am personally a little too afraid to go the surgery route because I don't love all of the results. Some of them are stunning, but some of them are not great. So I think I'd rather invest that money in like voice training. I'll also say I think estrogen might have made my hair grow faster. I don't know for sure because I didn't really let my hair grow out before being on hormones, but this is all my natural hair. I mean, I have cut it very short before, so this isn't 8 years of growth or anything, but my hair is very natural and long. So let's talk hips and butt. I was always blessed with a little bit more cake in the back. I am by no means complaining, but I feel like hormones really helped to shape it and give it a little more dimension. I don't really work out much. I know it sucks. I'm going to get back into fitness soon, but the results that you see are 100% just from eating and taking hormones. I will say I wish that my hips were a little bit wider. I would love to get a BBL one day or even like silicone injections. I know that's bad, but like I need some dimension, honey. Like, Nikita, who's pumping you? Without further ado, you guys, this is my body on 8 years of hormones. as you can see, I have some shape, nothing crazy, but hormones were the first step in my transition, and I am so thankful to still be on them. Let's get into the changes of being post-op. When you have either a sex change or just an orchiectomy, they are removing the testes, and the testes are what produce the testosterone. So when they perform the surgery, I no longer produce any testosterone. If not mistaken, I believe cis women produce around 60 units of testosterone naturally, and I now produce 0. That is not a bad thing per se. You certainly can be put on some testosterone creams if you feel a lowered sex drive or, you know, an unstable mood or depression or anything like that. But I have a perfectly healthy sex drive and I feel like my mood is pretty stable. I mean, I've always had some problems. As a result of having 0 testosterone in my body, I feel like my body has taken a little more to the estrogen. I noticed after a few weeks of getting back on estrogen after surgery that my breasts were hurting again. And they hadn't hurt for so long. I have breast implants, like it's been a long time since starting hormones and they started hurting again. So I don't know if that was because I was off hormones for so long or because my body was reacting differently to them, but I definitely feel like my breasts and my hips have grown significantly. Overall, I just want to say that I am so thankful for every step of this journey. If you're watching this because you're just starting hormones or you're waiting to see what it's going to look like after a year or 8 years or 10 years, I just want to say it's a slow process. Trust the process, you will get there. Everybody develops their own pace. It is by no means a race. That is why it's called a transition. I did not look like this overnight and I have plenty of room to grow. Starting hormones was the first step in saving my life. If I hadn't made this transition, I truly wouldn't be here. And I am so grateful to my parents for being so understanding. If you want to hear more about my coming out story at age 14, I will link a card up here so you can hear all about that. It is an interesting story, an interesting saga. If you're watching this because you're just starting hormones, you're curious, please let me know in the comments down below. I try to get back to each and every one of you. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching this. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up. You know it helps out my channel so much. Click that subscribe button down below if you're not already a part of the family, and click that bell so you're notified whenever I make a new upload. I will also link all of my social media in the description box down below so you can follow me there, and I will also link my Amazon merch at Redbubble and Teespring so you can check out all of the LGBT merch that I have made just for you. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching. I love you. Bye.